Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 228 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my bedroom, and today I'm giving you all the late Week 1 recap. And no, I'm super late on this, but I was camping all week, so I didn't have service, so, give me a break. Let's start the Thursday games. Chief beat the Ravens 27-20. Pat Mahomes, 291 passing, a TD, and a pick. Rashee Rice, 7 catches for 103. The rookie Xavier Worthy, a rushing and receiving touchdown, and Isaiah Pacheco with a rushing touchdown. As for Lamar Jackson, 273 passing, a touchdown, no picks. He had 122 rushing yards with a fumble. Isaiah Likely, the tight end, 10 catches for 111 and a touchdown. And Derrick Henry rushes a touchdown in the end zone in his Ravens debut. So the defending Super Bowl champs, they start off the season with a win. They got it done with 353 total yards, 72 on the ground. They completed third downs at a high clip, limited their penalties. In the defense, they pick up where they left off. They had a sack, a fumble, and shut down the run outside of Lamar Jackson. It's scary to think how much better this team got in this offseason, especially adding a stud like Xavier Worthy, the rookie. He had just a few touches, and he scored on both of them. And as for the Ravens, they almost got the win in the final seconds. If only Isaiah Likely got his second foot in bounds, it was just by this much, just by a centimeter. The offense, though, played pretty well. They had 452 total yards, 185 rushing. But outside of Lamar, the run game was stagnant. They didn't really feed Derrick Henry. And as for the defense, 2 sacks, a pick. They stopped the run but couldn't stop the pass. And this was an AFC Championship game rematch from last year, and it certainly did not disappoint to start off the season. We would go to the Friday game. It was the first game played in Brazil. It was the Eagles beating the Packers 34-29. Jalen Hurts, 278 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 fumble. Saquon Barkley in his Eagles debut, 109 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 catches for 119 and a score. As for Jordan Love of the Packers, 260 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Jalen Reed had 4 catches for 138 and a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown. And Christian Watson with a receiving touchdown. So the Eagles got their first win of the season, happened in Brazil. And despite the slippery field conditions, the Eagles managed 410 yards of offense, 144 of those on the ground. And Saquon had himself a game. And I know definitely the Giants fans hate to see one of their own guys go to a division rival and ball out. And as for the defense, they had 2 sacks and a pick. The Eagles managed to win despite 3 turnovers from Jalen Hurts. And as for the Packers, their offense, 414 total yards, 163 rushing, but couldn't take advantage of 3 Eagles turnovers. The defense had 2 sacks, 2 picks, and 2 fumbles. And the worst news, the starting quarterback, Jordan Love, is going to be out for 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks, with an MCL injury. In the final seconds of that game, that happened thanks to a dirty play by Jalen Carter. On to Sunday games, the Saints stomped the Panthers 47-10. Derek Carr, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Alvin Kamara, 83 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jamal Williams with a rushing touchdown. And Raheem Shaheed, Foster Moreau, and Jawan Johnson all had touchdown catches. As for Bryce Young of the Panthers, 161 passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and 1 rushing score. And this game wasn't even close. The Saints just rolled them up and smoked them. The offense, 379 total, 180 on the ground. The defense had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. And the Saints just had their way all game long with the Panthers. The Panthers just looked worse than they did last year. The offense, 193 total with a measly 58 rushing yards. The offensive line was trash. The defense had 1 measly sack. And buckle up, Panthers fans, because it's going to be a very rough year for y'all. Next, the Vikings beat the Giants 28-6. Sam Darnold, 208 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick in his Vikings debut. And Aaron Jones had 94 rushing yards and a touchdown in his Vikings debut. Justin Jefferson had a touchdown catch. And as for Daniel Jones, 186 passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks. The rookie Malik Neighbors, 5 catches for 66 yards. So the Vikings completely embarrassed the Giants. Sam Darnold looked good in his new team. The offense, 312 total yards with 111 rushing. The defense had 5 sacks and 2 interceptions. 1 was a pick 6. And they just pummeled the Giants all afternoon. Giants just looked awful. Their offense, 240 total yards, 74 rushing yards. The defense had a sack, a fumble, and a pick. So they looked okay, but, it doesn't show, the stats don't show really how poorly they played. They also had 95 penalty yards, which also is not going to win you games. Jones was beyond terrible, and it's the same old Giants. Next, the Patriots beat the Bengals 16-10. Jacoby Brissett, 121 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Ramondre Stevenson had 120 rushing and a touchdown. And as for Joe Burrow, 164 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Zach Moss has a rushing touchdown on the afternoon. So the Pats get the biggest upset of the week. Head coach Gerard Mayo gets his first win of his coaching career. The offense, 240 total yards with 170 running. The defense had 3 sacks, 2 fumbles, and stopped the run. And are the Patriots better than we think? Everyone projected that this is going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but maybe they could shock us. I know it's only week 1. But we'll see what happens from here. As for the Bengals, they look pitiful on both sides of the ball. Offense, 224 total. Only 70 rushing yards. They fumbled twice. One was at the goal line into the end zone. The defense got gashed by the run, couldn't turn the ball over, and the offensive line is still not fixed for Cincy. This is an issue they've been trying to fix for years, and for some reason, they just can never, ever fix their O-line. It's like every year it just gets worse. Steelers beat the Falcons 18-10. Justin Fields, 156 passing, no touchdowns, no picks in his Steelers debut. George Pickens, 6 catches for 85 yards. As for Kirk Cousins in his debut of the Falcons, 155 passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Kyle Pitts, the tight end, a touchdown catch. So the Steelers get an upset just like the Patriots did. Fields gets the start over for Russell Wilson, who had a strained calf, and he played pretty well. He managed the game very well. The offense, 270 total. They had 137 rushing yards. The defense had 2 sacks. They also had 2 picks and a fumble. And all 18 points were field goals by the kicker, Chris Boswell. The Falcons got smacked around. The offense, 226 total, only 89 rushing yards, and 3 turnovers. The defense had 2 sacks, no turnovers, and Kirk's debut just did not go as expected. It makes you wonder if that Achilles injury he tore last year is still bothering him. And the team, with a lot of offseason hype, really laid an egg this past Sunday. The Texans beat the Colts 29-27. C.J. Stroud, 234 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Joe Mixon, 159 rushing, a touchdown in his Texans debut. Nico Collins, 6 catches for 117. Stephon Diggs, 2 touchdown catches in his Texans debut. Anthony Richardson for the Colts, 212 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 1 rushing touchdown. Alec Pierce, 3 catches for 125 and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor with a rushing score, and Ashton Dolan with a touchdown score. So the Texans won a very close game. The offense, 417 total yards, 204 on the ground. The defense had 2 sacks and a pick. C.J. Stroud didn't miss a beat from last year. The wide receiver core looks better than they did last year. And Anthony Richardson, the Colts, they did look good despite the loss. The offense, 303 total yards, 104 on the ground. The defense had 4 sacks, but were gashed against the run. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. And Anthony Richardson was having a game. He threw only 9 passes, but completed 9 passes, but had over 200-something yards. He was throwing bombs downfield. They look pretty good. So we'll see what happens with the Colts from here on out as the rest of the season goes. Next, the Bills beat the Cardinals 34-28. Josh Allen, 232 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 rushing scores, and a fumble. Khalil Shakir had a touchdown catch. Kyler Murray, 162 passing, a touchdown, no picks. James Conner with a rushing score, and Michael Wilson with a touchdown grab. So the Bills, they won a very tight one. The offense, 352 total, 130 rushing. The defense, 4 sacks and a fumble. Started slow, but then caught fire. And if Allen continues like this, is he going to be the MVP? We'll see what happens. The Cardinals let a 17-3 lead slip away. The offense, 270 passing yards, 124 on the ground. The defense, 2 sacks and a fumble. And are the Cardinals better than we thought? They hung in there tooth and nail with one of the better teams in the league. Next, the Bears beat the Titans 24-17. The rookie Caleb Williams, 93 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks. The defense had 2 interceptions, 1 for 6, and 3 sacks. They also had a fumble as well. And as for special teams, they blocked a punt for a touchdown. We move over to the Titans. Will Levis, 127 passing, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble. Tony Pollard with a touchdown run. That's former Cowboy Tony Pollard to you guys that don't know. As my thoughts on this game, Caleb Williams' first NFL start was a win. He wasn't that great, but they got the job done regardless. 148 total offensive yards with 84 rushing. As I mentioned before, though, the defense and special teams carried. And as for the Titans, they blew a 17-3 lead. Will Levis, 3 turnovers, especially that crucial one in the final 5 minutes, which was a pick six where he was about to get sacked. He kind of just chucked it up in the air and it got picked off and ran back. The offense, 244 yards with 140 rushing. And the defense had 2 sacks and a fumble. The next game, the Dolphins beat the Jaguars 20-17. Tua Tagovailoa, 338, a touchdown, no picks. Devon Achane, a rushing touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 5 catches for 109. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches for 130 and a touchdown, despite being detained by police officers before the game for traffic violations. He was speeding, so what I've heard. I'm sure you guys have all seen the videos and whatnot. As for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, 162 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Travis Etienne, a touchdown rush and a fumble. And the rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., with a touchdown catch. So the Dolphins get a walk-off field goal for the win. The offense didn't skip a beat, 400 total yards, 81 rushing yards. The defense had 3 sacks and a fumble. And the Jags offense, 267 total and 128 on the ground. The defense, 3 sacks. And they led 14-0, but they took their foot off the gas. Next, the Seahawks beat the Broncos 26-20. Geno Smith, 171 passing, a touchdown, a pick, and a rushing score. Kenneth Walker, 103 rushing, and a touchdown. And as for Bo Nix, the rookie for the Broncos, 138 passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 rushing score. So, Seahawks' first game in a long time without Pete Carroll as their head coach, and they get the win. Offense, 304 total yards, 146 rushing. The defense had 2 sacks, 2 picks, and a fumble. Bo Nix' rookie debut was spoiled. The offense, 231 total, 99 rushing yards, and the defense, 2 sacks, a pick, and a fumble. Next game, the Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10. Justin Herbert, 144 passing, a touchdown, no picks. J.K. Dobbins, excuse me, 135 rushing and a rushing score, and the rookie receiver Ladd McConkey with a touchdown catch. As for Gardner Minshew, the Raiders, 257 passing, a touchdown, a pick, and a fumble. Alexander Madison with a receiving touchdown. So the head coach, Jim Harbaugh of the Chargers, gets his first NFL win in over 10 years. The offense, 316 total yards with 176 rushing. The O-line was great, along with their new rookie, Joe Alt. The defense had 4 sacks, a pick, and 2 fumbles. And the Raiders just looked lost out there. They had 296 total yards, only 71 rushing. The defense only got 1 sack and were destroyed against the run. It's going to be a very tough year for Raider Nation. Next, my Cowboys taking care of business, 33-17 over the Browns. Dak had 179 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Brandon Cooks with a touchdown catch, and Zeke, in his first game back with the Cowboys in over a year, has a rushing score. As for Deshaun Watson and the Browns, 169 passing, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Jerome Ford with a rushing score, and Jerry Jeudy with a touchdown catch. And how about them Cowboys? Read that shirt right there, because they had 265 total yards of offense with 102 on the ground. Defense had 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, and just a great overall game for the Cowboys. I thought they were going to be tested against this Browns defense, and there was times they were, but they were able to sustain some really good drives. As for the Browns, though, they struggled. 230 total yards with 93 rushing. The offensive line was bullied all game long. The offense was smothered by that Dallas defense, and the defense of the Browns had 3 sacks, no turnovers, and no help from the offense, though. And is Deshaun Watson the answer in Cleveland at the QB position? I don't know. The more we look at it, the more it seems like a no. Next, the Bucs beat the Commanders 37-20. Baker Mayfield, 289 passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 8 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. As for the rookie Jalen McDaniels in his debut, 184 on passing. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions. He did run for 2 scores and 88 yards. And Brian Robinson, a rushing touchdown. So the Bucs pick up from where they left off last year. The offense, 392 total yards, 112 on the ground, 9-13 on third down. The defense had 2 sacks. And Baker was just dealing all game long, finding his guy Mike Evans. As for Jaden McDaniels, his NFL debut did go really, really well. Just didn't get the win, unfortunately. And he definitely shows potential to be a solid QB in this league. He does take a lot of hits, though, so there's times where he should have slid and he was getting pelted. And you got to teach him, man. If you want to survive in that league, gotta slide. The offense, 299 total yards with 138 on the ground, and the defense, 1 sack but couldn't force a turnover. The next game, the Lions beat the Rams 26-20 in OT. Jared Goff, 217 passing, a touchdown and a pick. Jamison Williams, 5 catches, 121 and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 91 rushing yards and a score. And Jahmyr Gibbs with a touchdown rush. As for Matt Stafford of the Rams, 317 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Cooper Kupp, 14 catches, 110 and a touchdown. And Kyron Williams with a touchdown score. So the Lions win the first official OT game of the season. The offense, 363 total, 163 rushing. The defense, 2 sacks and a pick in the end zone. The Lions get their second straight win against the Rams since both teams swapped their quarterbacks between Goff and Stafford in 2021. The Rams overcame a 14-point second half deficit, but enabled to force OT but came up short. The offense, 387 total. They only had 83 rushing yards though. And as for the defense, 2 sacks and a pick, but they couldn't stop the run. They also gave up a game-tying field goal in regulation with just a few minutes left. That set up overtime. That set up the overtime. As for the Monday game, the final game, the Niners beat up on the Jets 32-19. Brock Purdy, 231 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Jordan Mason, 147 rushing and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel with a rushing score. As for Aaron Rodgers, 167 passing, a touchdown, a pick. Allen Lazard, 6 catches, 89 yards, 2 scores. And Breece Hall with a rushing touchdown and a fumble. So the 49ers completely dominate. Excuse me again. They had 401 total yards. They moved the ball with ease. No Christian McCaffrey, no problem, because they ran them out of the building with 180 rushing yards without him. The defense had a sack, an interception, and a fumble. And the head coach, Kyle Shanahan, ran circles around Robert Saleh of the Jets. He made sure to keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. Aaron Rodgers did sustain a nice 12-play drive that took some time off the clock and led to a score. And the Niners said, we're not having this happen. So this was Aaron Rodgers' first game back since the Achilles tear, and he played pretty well. The offense, 266 total yards, only 68 rushing yards, and they barely saw the field because the Niners kept them off it. As for the defense, 3 sacks, but they got obliterated against the run. That was a Swiss cheese defense. They could not stop the run. The Jets just couldn't make a stop to save their lives. And guess what, Jets fans? RELAX. As Aaron Rodgers once said 10 years ago, it's only week 1 of the season. You played a very tough team against the second best team in the league, a team who was just in the Super Bowl. So what's there to panic about? Relax, literally. Take a deep breath. Out. Guys, I think you guys are going to be fine. So that's it for the week 1 wrap-up. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow me above on my Instagram page. Take care and have a wonderful day.